Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today's lesson is moving straight ahead, 2.4. 2.4 is talking about connecting tables, graphs, and equations. It's basically expanding on this idea that we can connect an equation, linear equation specifically, to a particular graph, take that graph and make a table, or take the table and make a graph, or make that graph and make an equation. Basically, we can switch between any three of these things at any time. Our lesson comes on page 29 through 30, A through E. Our ACE problems are 15 through 28 and 40 through 41. Our learning target. I can use a graphing calculator to solve and compare problems. Okay, graphing calculators. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the graphing calculator. There's lots and lots of different types of graphing calculators out there. The most common ones are ones made by Texas Instruments. They have names like TI-73 or TI-84 or TI-96, and what they are essentially the amazing, awesome tools, the trade tools of college level or high school level math. The same way that a carpenter carries around a circular saw and a framing square and a nail gun, people who are serious about math carry around a TI-84. And a TI-84 is a type of calculator. It has not changed in years. It has not changed in decades. However, it doesn't make it any less useful. They are nearly as powerful as the computers that landed people on the moon. You could do the math to land a guy on the moon using a TI-84. It is a crazy powerful device. However, there's some things we need to write down, just a quick cheat sheet. They are not very user-friendly. They are designed to be for serious math. They are not designed to be easy to use. The notes that you want to put down are these. Your little cheat sheet has to have this. The Y equals button. Usually it's located right up here. And if you want to grab a calculator from Mr. Briggs, or maybe you have one of your own, he keeps them locked in a closet because they're rather expensive and rather bulky. And the Y equals button lets you enter in linear equations where you have y equals x plus 2 or y equals 2x plus 5. And the other button you want to pay attention to is the graph button. And the graph button is usually located up top as well. And the graph button takes that equation, whatever y equals equation you've made, and graphs it. And a table button, and sometimes the table button you have to press the second button plus the table button, lets you make a table out of whatever equation you've made. So it automatically tells you what all of the x and y values are going to be. You're also going to want to pay attention to the zoom/window button. And the zoom/window button tells you what size you want the graph to be. It lets you zoom out of the graph and see a really big picture. It lets you zoom in and look at really fine detail, down to really small decimal points, the difference of 1 point on the line to another. And then the trace button. And the trace button lets you move up and down the graph, up and down the line, and tells you what that point is worth. So y equals this, x equals that, and so on. The other things that you want to pay attention to are this, the on button, and also the second plus on button, which turns it off. Please turn these calculators off. They eat through batteries like a dog eats ham. It's crazy. So please try to save the batteries as much as possible. Okay, this is what the views of your calculator looks like. You do not have to copy this down, but it would pay to bring this up on your calculator. If you press the y equals view, you can enter in equations. One thing you're going to want to pay attention to is sometimes there is an X button that lets you put this stuff in. Sometimes it has like an E-X-something button. It's basically the variable button. You're going to want to pay attention to that when you're entering in equations. Another thing you're going to pay attention to is we want to use the parentheses button for negatives. Okay? Not the minus button, because we're not subtracting, we're just making a number negative. In the table view, it lets you compare different equations, that if x equals 7, y equals 11, and so on. And you're also going to pay attention to the window/zoom view. In the window/zoom view, you want to look at the x minimum and x maximum. This tells you how big the graph is going to be. The larger this number is, the more zoomed out you're going to be. Usually you want to be zoomed out somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 or something. The same thing with y. Y you maybe want to be zoomed out to 20. And if you hit zoom, you can also zoom in, zoom out. What you're going to want to do is hit zoom and probably enter in a 6 for just the standard view. And the standard view is going to give you that standard graph view that we want to have when we are looking at graphs. And just a quick note, if you're at home or you are interested in having your own calculator, you can go and beg Mom and Dad to go and buy you a $100 piece of professional equipment, and it will literally be the last calculator you buy. You buy a TI-94 or a TI-84, you could carry that thing all the way to college. You don't need to buy another calculator. They are the best. Okay? However, if you wanted to cheap out, if you go to Google and type an equation into the Google search bar, it will graph it for you. It won't make a table, but it will let you trace up and down the line. It will let you, see what that graph looks like. You can also go to this website called desmos.com/calculator, and they have a very nice online graphing calculator for free. And if you go to the App Store on your phone or an iPad or an iPhone or an iPod, you can go on search for graphing calculator and find any kind of app out there that will also let you do graphing. However, you have to remember that most math classes still use the TI-84 and only the TI-84 or similar calculators to do any of their graphing. It's just the nature of things. They really have not changed because they haven't had to. They are as good as they probably will ever get. However, any of these options will work most of the time, at least for this class, for finding what a graph looks like and letting you know what the points on that graph are worth. Okay, you're going to want to play with this calculator to complete this lesson. It's not necessary, but it'll help. And the lesson takes place on 2.4, connecting tables, graphs, and equations. Your lesson numbers are page 29 through 30, A through E, and the ACE problems 15 through 28, and 40 through 41. Have fun.